concerns that people have after a breakup is the worry and fear that they're going to run into their ex. Even though in many cases this never happens, it doesn't invalidate the concern. And if you live in a small town, then this fear is very real. Running into your ex can make you feel like a deer in headlights. You don't know what to do or say. And what do you do if they don't see you? Or if they ghosted you and this is the first time that you are seeing each other? Or what about when you run into them during no contact? Are you supposed to just ignore them? Let's answer these questions in this video and make this situation the least awkward as possible. Hi, I'm Katya Morozova. I'm a personal and relationship coach for people who are ready to heal their relationship wounds, become secure in their skin, and have healthy relationships. I'm also the founder of KatyaMorozova.me. I'm committed to helping people who have been wronged in their relationships to speak up for themselves and create life and relationships by their own design. If you're new to my channel and you truly want to address the core of what it takes to have healthy, lasting connections and truly show up as your authentic self in your relationships, then definitely hit that subscribe button. I've been coaching for the last 8 years, helping people overcome debilitating patterns in their love lives. I've helped clients heal from crippling anxiety, leave toxic relationships and marriages, and screen for high quality partners, and ultimately provide them with the practical tools they need to build secure relationships that work. First, I just want to say that you don't have to do anything. There's no requirement on you to make something happen or to initiate a conversation. And remember, there are always two parties involved in this situation, and your ex has just as much ability to acknowledge you and initiate a conversation as you do. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the steps that you can take to powerfully approach your ex if you run into them in public. I want you to consider this. You're not the only one who thinks this situation is awkward. So remember, your ex probably thinks that this is just as awkward as you do. One way that you can show confidence and comfort in this situation is by making strong eye contact. A lot of times when people run into their ex, as I mentioned, it feels like you're a deer in headlights and you literally don't know what to do. If that happens, I want you to give yourself a moment. Give yourself a moment, look away, compose yourself, and when you look back at your ex, be sure to make strong eye contact. Don't dart around or try to get small. If you run into them, this is your chance to show that you are comfortable in this situation. Even if you're nervous, even if you're anxious, if you can allow yourself to take up space in this situation and say, in a sense, I am here, this will often be disarming to your ex. Because here's the thing, people are always pinging off of each other. So when you are anxious, when you are darting around and not sure what to do, it will make the other person anxious. But if you stand your ground, if you hold your head up high and approach the situation with confidence, or even if you're across the street from each other and you just make strong eye contact and give them a nod as you walk past, you will demonstrate that you are okay with this situation. And more than likely, if you assert this confidence with your eyes and your body language, you might also disarm your ex, who is probably feeling that same deer in headlights experience that you are. Now, what are you supposed to do if your ex doesn't make eye contact with you back? Or what if they simply don't see you? In this situation, I wouldn't try to force eye contact. I wouldn't try to force communication. In the case of them not making eye contact back, you probably just want to let it be, especially if it feels like they're actively trying to avoid you. Don't chase them down or try to force an interaction. Just let them go on their way because clearly they're not interested or ready to interact with you. Now, if they're far away and they don't see you, or maybe they saw you, but they're really trying to keep their distance, they don't want to interact, and they're going to pretend like they didn't see you. As well, in this situation, I wouldn't try to force eye contact or any kind of contact. They have free will to not interact with you if they're simply not ready or if they choose not to. Now, If you have made some contact, if you've made eye contact and they're looking back at you and they're acknowledging your presence, it's in this moment where you can take things a step further. If they're far away from you, I would just give them a small wave or a nod of acknowledgement. Hey, I see you. I know that you're there. I personally wouldn't go out of my way to go talk to them unless they're kind of lingering and not really moving on and somehow expecting an interaction with you. You'll probably be able to tell this with their body language. Do they pick up their pace and start walking away fast? Or do they kind of slow down and linger in eye contact with you? Now, if you've made this lingering eye contact and there's kind of this pause, this lull, this opening for a conversation or at least a short chat, this is the point where I would say hello. Say hi, how are you? It's good to see you. How's it going? Now, it's at this point where I would do something called a short catch-up. Try to keep it very brief. In fact, I would cut off this conversation first. If you feel like you're about to get into some kind of awkward dialogue with your ex, then what you want to do is create a timeline for yourself. I'm gonna stand here, I'm gonna talk to them for 2 minutes, talk to them about anything, talk to them about the weather, check in on how they are. Hopefully they ask you how you're doing and tell them what's going on with you. Keep this very brief. Keep this above ground. And what I mean by above ground is don't delve into any kind of long conversation or any kind of processing. Don't bring up that you have their stuff and you still need to give it to them. Just keep it light, keep it friendly, and most of all, keep it positive. The reason I'm encouraging you to keep it positive is because people typically remember us by the last interaction that we had with them. So for instance, if the relationship ended crappy and it was highly tense, there's a lot of emotions involved, that's the way that they're going to remember you until you give them a new experience to remember you by. If things ended in a particularly intense way, I would highly recommend that you keep this interaction short, sweet, and as positive as possible. It's kind of like a reset or a refresh button. They're gonna leave the conversation thinking and feeling like, oh, hey, you know, that wasn't so bad. Hey, he seems to be or she seems to be doing really well, and that's great. The reason that you want to do this is because if you at any point would like to reconcile, be friends, or somehow create a new relationship with your ex, then you want to have this palate cleanser type of experience where things are neutral and positive, and those are the only emotions that are associated with this experience. Okay, now let's quickly talk about how to end the conversation, and then we'll get into some of those outlier questions, like what if you see them during no contact? How you want to end the conversation is by keeping it, again, very brief. Just say, hey, it was really great seeing you. It sounds like you're doing well, and I'm happy for you. Leave them with a positive note and positive regard. Don't allude to seeing them again or anything like that, or hey, we should hang out. Really just acknowledge that you ran into them and that it was nice seeing them and that you're glad that they're doing well. Now I want to answer a couple of these outlier questions. So for instance, I had someone write into me and say that they live in a small town and that their ex ghosted them, and now they keep running into each other in public and it's super awkward. And this person wants to know what they should do. Now, there's a couple of ways that I would handle this situation. The first way is really doing nothing. Yes, it's awkward and clearly your ex has some avoidant tendencies, and there's not really anything that you can do about that. Everyone has their own process for how they process relationships and breakups. Even when your ex ghosted you and avoided you, they clearly have their own stuff going on. So you can simply wait it out until the awkwardness goes away. Now, this is a much more passive approach, and I personally wouldn't take this approach. And the reason I say this is because if you live in a small town and you are going to see this person all of the time, I would personally address it directly. Assertively walk up to them and say hello. And you can even call out the elephant in the room and say, hey, you know, I know things ended in a strange way between us. You don't have to call out the fact that they ghosted you. Just acknowledge that the relationship ended in an unorthodox or a strange way. way. Don't blame her for it or blame him for it, and just let that be. And say, hey, you know, we live in a small town, we're probably going to see each other a lot. Just name the situation, name the thing that you're feeling. I just don't want there to be any bad blood between us. I just wanted to come over here and say hi, and just to let you know that there's no bad blood. And then you can wait for them to speak. They might say something or they might say nothing, and then you can simply just say, hey, it was good seeing you, and walk off. So that would be the assertive and direct way to handle that type of situation. And then the second outlier question that I received is, what do you do if you run into your ex during no contact? Are you supposed to ignore them? Well, personally, again, I wouldn't, and especially if you're in a situation where you can't ignore them. So we talked earlier in this video about what to do if you see your ex from afar, or they're sitting in a car, or they simply don't see you. I would apply those same rules to this situation. But if you are, I don't know, walking into an ice cream shop and they are walking out and you practically run into each other, it would be weird if you ignored your ex, even if you're doing no contact. So what I would do is follow the same steps that I outlined in this video. Address them directly and have a short chat, and then move on with your day, and definitely move on and continue on with your no contact commitment. All right, well, I provided you with quite a few tips and steps in various situations in this video, so I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want more helpful videos to help you recover from your breakup, re-attract your ex, learn about your attachment style, and all the things. So definitely subscribe to my channel if you are digging on this. Next, I want to make sure that you don't leave here without my 5-step guide on how to heal and find yourself again after a breakup. I also have an email series that comes with that teaches you about attachment styles, so definitely don't miss out on that. It's going to be in the description below. And of course, my next video is profiling the difference between the fearful avoidant and the dismissive avoidant at the end of a relationship, so definitely don't miss that. That's going to be right up here. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.